It's crucial. We were getting sick of sitting behind our screens and we wanted to see works in real life.
I really missed exhibitions, but also live shows.
We've been waiting for this for a long time. I'm a musician, and I need to get some inspiration from new things.
Life is getting back to normal, and I'm here to dream a bit at the museum.
Hello and welcome to this special show to mark the opening of museums and galleries after months of lockdown. We're at the Musée d'Orsay in Paris, home to the world's largest collection of Impressionist painting. I'm joined by the director of the Musée d'Orsay, Laurence. Laurence, hello, thanks so much for joining us.
Hello, hello.
Now, visitors are obviously delighted to be back in the museum after months away, but internally, on your side, what has been the largest challenge preparing the site to welcome people back?
Well, the uncertainty of the opening date was really a big challenge because you had to push back, all the dates all the time before we had the final green light from the government. So it was a permanent rescheduling of everything.
And what about the conditions that people will come back to the museum in? Are we looking at something like last summer?
A little bit. You have to pre-book your ticket. I really have to do that. But once you have your ticket, you have a day, you have an hour, and then you can enter the museum in a very exceptional condition of visit with all the time you need to go through the galleries or the exhibitions, and all the space you need because when we open, we reopen with a very small number of visitors. The first phase of reopening is really a limited one.
So that is one positive side, I suppose.
Absolutely. You have to take it positively.
Now, Laurence, the Musée d'Orsay is well known for its incredible permanent collection, mainly 19th and 20th century artwork, but there are other things to see here. What's on offer for visitors at the moment?
You have temporary exhibitions that are opening with the reopening. The Origins of the World, the exhibition that we are, really into right now, which is an extraordinary exhibition about the invention of nature in the 19th century, a dialogue between art and science, an exhibition on Swiss painting of the late 19th century, and an exhibition on a pioneer of French photography, Giraud de Prangé. And in Orangerie, you will find a Magritte Renoir exhibition, a very original subject. So you find lots of things to see.
There's no shortage. Indeed, this exhibition, The Origins of the World, highlights the artistic dimension of the great discoveries which revealed the natural world to us humans. It shows how the theory of evolution transformed art in the 19th century. Let's take a closer look.
This is how artists used to portray the origins of mankind, with Adam and Eve. Before Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, humanity was on one side, animals on the other. That vision was shattered in the 19th century.
The theory of evolution was based on the idea that there's a common ancestor to all species, and that the initial ancestor's descendants gradually evolved into different species throughout time.
Orsay Museum shows how that theory transformed art, with prehistoric men and creatures appearing for the first time on canvas. The Paris Museum of Natural History, which co-organized the exhibit, has lent this elephant to show those days' fascination with wild animals. Humans used to think of themselves as the center of the universe. After Darwin, they started understanding the world is just as beautiful without them.
On the right side, you can see the geological layers in the Rocky Mountain. It's a moving painting that shows that mankind is by no means necessary for nature to exist.
other 19th century discoveries, like what lies in deep-sea waters, have also transformed art. New creatures found below the surface brought artists to imagine new figures on their canvas. The change of perspective allowed artists to break down traditional figurative art into new movements, like Impressionism, an art form the Orsay Museum is well known for, represented here by Monet's water lilies.
Laurence, the Musée d'Orsay has a very international profile. Many of your visitors come from overseas. Now, last year visits were down by 75% because of the confinement, of course, but in part due to a lack of tourism. How do you see the months to come?
Probably in the first phase of a reopening, it will be mostly French visitors, maybe a few European visitors. We welcome them, in the summer, and progressively we expect the international tourism to come back to France. But you're right. I mean, 60% of our visitors before the general lockdown were coming from all over the world. So it's a big challenge for us, but it's a way also to reconnect with the French visitors, and for them it's a way to rediscover their heritage also.
And have you got anything special planned in terms of events or alternative things to see for people coming back to the museum?
Well, we do have a lot of a programming of music, of theatre. We will be welcoming Isabella Rossellini in the early part of July with a special performance dedicated to Darwin, and it's inspired by the exhibition of The Origins of the World, so it'll be quite an event for us.
Now, over this last extraordinary year, many cultural institutions have had to completely change their modus operandi, offering digital experiences. For example, the Musée d'Orsay did that. Is that something that you plan to maintain and develop?
Definitely. We had to invent new formats. We had to be creative to respond to this extraordinary situation and not to just copy what we used to do. So we invented new formats like the imaginary world of Orsay, the digital worlds of Orsay, given to an historian, Pierre Sigarevelu, who is really writing a connected history of the collections of Orsay, which is something that we've never done before. And this will become a book, and this will become also lectures in the auditorium in the fall. So it's a multi-format experience. We also had the Orsay Live collection, which is really to film the performances of musicians, but not in the auditorium, the empty auditorium, but inside the galleries. So that the Musée d'Orsay become really the shrine, of those extraordinary moments of music or sometimes dance performances. And so, we're inventing along the way, and obviously some of these experiences will stay with us.
And as we look ahead to cultural experiences, I hope that will be more regular. What about you? What are you planning to do in these next few days?
Well, I'll go to movies, go to theater, go to restaurant and cafe, just to enjoy the simple fact of sharing, a moment with your friends, with your colleagues. I mean, we are all expecting this moment with a sense of relief and release and joy,
Laurence Descartes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much indeed.
We're now also free to enjoy that particularly French pastime, a drink and a chat at a pavement cafe. But there are plenty of exhibitions to see around the country too. The Musée in Marseille is showing the work of American artist Jeff Koons, a selection of his neo-kitsch pieces which should delight his fans.
Balloon dog, hanging heart. These are just some of the iconic pieces on display at the Jeff Koons exhibit at Musée. The Marseille Museum usually specializes in Mediterranean art and history. For the grand reopening of cultural venues in France, after some 7 months of closure, Musée sought to do something a bit different. The exhibit features Koons' works, including some displayed for the first time in Europe, like Bluebird Planter. This alongside pieces from the museum's archives, handpicked by the artist himself.
We came here on several occasions and spent all day working, opening drawers, choosing objects. Then we continued working together remotely by email.
While playful, the 66-year-old American artist's works are also a testament to technical expertise.
This is actually made out of cast aluminium. It's done in such a way as to create a total illusion. The material is then intricately painted to resemble an inflatable toy.
Like other French cultural venues, Musée can once again welcome visitors, but under certain conditions. Social distancing must be respected, and capacity must be limited.
There will be a certain capacity for each room. For the Koons exhibition, for example, the limit will be capped at 150 people.
Musé's Koons exhibit will run until October 18th.
Finally, the European Photography Centre here in Paris opens its doors with an exclusive show put together by the artists themselves. Murayama Tomatsu Tokyo was co-curated by photographer Daido Murayama before his death in 2012. That show is a fascinating blend of two post-war perspectives on the Japanese capital. Take a look. Otherwise, do check in with us for more arts and culture here on France 24.